Hey everybody, David here from Team Ultra Instinct, bringing you an Android 16 deck profile. This is the Android 16 leader from the Battle Evolution booster box. Decided to start messing around with this guy again, just out of fun. I never got to use the anniversary box support, and started doing it at locals, built a deck, really liked it, and obviously recorded some sessions from the locals play. I think I did one or two locals prior to that with this deck. I was going to record one locals, but we had a little bit of a flop with one of our stands, unfortunately. But so I ended up playing this guy. I feel like I don't really need to dive into what he does. Just a high-level overview. He's going to be a rival for blue-green androids, primarily focusing on the Android 16 arrivals. And the reason I really wanted to use this guy is because I've never used him in the actual Zenkai meta, and he is able to generate quite a good amount of Z energy. A lot of games I feel like I don't struggle at all to get any Z energy, and it's been nice to be able to utilize not only the Z-Deck for Z energy, just allowing me to do stuff, but now the new anniversary box cards allow me to use it. So they give me decent effects, or if I need to use the Z-Deck, I've got a lot of Z energy to work with. If I'm facing Explosive Dance, he's already given me a good amount of stuff there. So I don't know, I just really like this leader. I always have liked him, so it's nice to bring him back and actually feel like he's not too bad right now. He was just getting outshined by Android 21, still kind of is, but at the same time, I really think he has a spot to at least perform and compete to a degree. He's not going to win you any tournaments, but any major events, I should say, but he is quite a good amount of fun to play. So if you guys are looking for a deck to play that's fun, blue-green androids, this may be the deck for you. So let's dive into this. I'm just going to start out basic. Super combo here went out for the Android 18 Bionic Blitz, just to bottom deck cards from their hand. This deck is a little bit of hand control. Now, if you wanted to, you could run the either the Zeno super combo, or you could run the blue-green Android 17 and 18 super combo. This deck could run a bunch of different super combos. This is the one I recommend the most, but the blue-green Android 17 and 18 super combo is also a nice one. Helps to fuel the rival strategy a little bit more too, because that one untaps an energy defensively. So that could be really good. I just prefer this one though, because you don't have to be at a certain life, and you can bottom deck a card from your opponent's hand. So pretty nice. Speedy sub. Blue-green Android Searcher. You could also swap out some energy at the end of turn if you need to get something back to your hand. Nice if you accidentally charge a Bionic Blitz through some sort of ramp, or if you charge your Secret Rare, you can get that back. So this card's going to be a huge turn 1 play for you. I mean, you almost always want to have it on turn 1. You may not have it, but it's usually what you want to have by turn 1. So one of the new anniversary box support cards. This Android 16 Determined Moment. This guy was kind of MVP. I really like this card. He has a 3-cost arrival, but when you're utilizing it on your turn, you're actually untapping 1 energy at the end of the turn. So his auto is when it's played and your leader's an Android 16 card, you draw 2 cards, switch up to 1 of your energy to active mode at the end of turn. So he's really a 2-cost arrival. He's a 25k crit. It's another way to draw cards for once in this deck, outside of unisons and maybe some niche battle cards. But this is a really big help for the deck. And what I also liked is he has an activate battle where you can pitch a Z energy and buff one of your cards once per turn for a battle by 5k. So you don't have to burn as many cards from your hand. It's just a nice little 5k bump. Or you can offensively utilize it and make him like a 30k crit or something just a little bit larger. Definitely really like this guy. I like him at 3. I wouldn't go 4. I like him at 3. Android 16 Stalwart Defender. I was going to run it at 4. I was going to side more, but I just decided to keep him at 3. He's nice. He's a 1-cost arrival. You can only play 1 copy of him when you play him, so you'll have to wait till the next turn. But it's either you could pop a 4-cost or less, which that came up a lot. That did come up a lot. Or you can search out your Android card with a cost of 2 or less. It has to be a blue Android 16 card with an energy cost of 2 or less. And your leader card has to specifically be a blue Android. So it's nice because you can search out your blue Android 16 2-drop ramper. I don't think there's any other cheaper Android 16 cards right now, at least not off the top of my head. So that may be your only target you can get. But for me, I actually do end up running that at 4, and we'll get to that later. But it is nice to actually have that as a ramp. Or if I really need it, I swing with my leader on the unawakened side, pitch it, that the ramper 16 and then just draw 2, and then it's a nice 10k blue-green card on my drop. So multi-use. I really only utilize the search when I'm just trying to get it for ramping, though. So that's an alternate turn 1 play. You can arrival using the Android 18 Bionic Blitz combo that, and then arrival him out, and then get that to your hand. So you only lose 1 card in hand at that point, just the card you comboed, because the Stalwart Defender will replace himself. Next, I'm running 4 Android 18 Measureless Strength. There have been situations where I've actually been thinking about cutting it down to 3, but honestly, I really like it because you can still use it from your energy with your leader here. So being able to arrival her from your energy actually comes in clutch quite a bit. She still ignores energy exhaust because your leader's a blue android. And the search sometimes comes in clutch. I've had times where I've actually whiffed and realized I have a lot more cards that cost 5 or more. Oh, sorry, 6 or more in this deck. She does hit 5 or less. So she still hits a lot, but I've had multiple times where she's whiffed, at least twice, and it's felt kind of bad. But she's also hit on very, very, very critical times. So I'm probably going to keep her at 4. It's just maybe I've had some bad luck with her. So just be aware she might be a little rough at 4, but right now I can't warrant taking her down. She was nice at 4. I've used her to be arrivaled as well. Not a lot of people actually arrival her. She's a nice arrival to choose one of their battle cards on play. So on play, you choose one of their cards, and up to 1 card in their hand, you bottom deck them. So it's just like, oh, nice mid-battle removal, no cost restriction, and a nice snipe from their hand. And then she's a 25k critical. So really nice card at 4. I'm probably going to keep it at this. I might tweak it later down the line, but right now, I think she's good. Android 16 Steadfast Comeback. This was always this leader's best friend, so he's a nice dual attacker, revenge, blocker. He also is, if your leader card is a blue or green card, when he's played, you can either choose 1 card from your opponent discards 1, essentially, or you place up to 1 blue android card with an energy cost of 1 from your deck in the drop, then shuffle your deck. I haven't really found a reason to utilize that second part of the auto, to be honest. I only use it for the discarding. But the nice part is it's another Android 16 that allows to come in ignoring energy exhaust strictly because of your leader. That's why it's this leader's best friend. It came out at the exact same time, and honestly, I do really like arrivaling him out. It's a nice revenge blocker, and it's dual attack, so you can be aggressive and defensive with him at the same time. Another one of the new anniversary box cards here. So this is actually another way to get a free 5k blue-green combo. So you don't have much of that, but specifically if your leader is an Android 16 card, you reduce the combo cost of this card in your hand by 1, so it becomes 0.5k. Pretty nice. I have arrived him a lot. I might actually bump this guy up to 4. I haven't decided yet, but I do like this card. It's a nice blocker, and he has 2 different effects for the activate main, so you're choosing one or the other, obviously. But you place 1 of your Z energy in the drop, so he's another Z energy user, which is nice. You choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards that cost 4 or less and place it at the bottom of their deck. Nice, got some removal. Or, and this is what came in clutch for me, choose up to 1 of your opponent's unisons or remove 2 markers from it. Just straight up marker removal. Just get it done with. I've had many unisons that I just killed right on the clapback. Nice way to get rid of them. I really like this card, like I said, and with the leader, he's going to ignore energy exhaust, so this is just perfect for the deck. So Android 16 Steadfast Ally, I originally was going to run at 2, but I actually bumped him back up to 3. Nice way to get an Android 21 5 or less from your deck that can't get the secret rare from your deck. But actually, when you grab a 5 or less from your deck, you don't have to necessarily hit 1. You could choose 0 from your deck, but typically you're going to want to get Bad Omen from your deck. If you don't somehow, there's none in your deck, whatever, you can choose up to 1 Android 21 card with an energy cost of 5 or less in your hand and play it, which means you can actually use this guy defensively and drop the Android 21 secret rare out. So if you catch your opponent slacking, you suddenly board wipe them and gain some life and gain a 40k blocker that takes another additional removal on it. It's pretty funny. So I have used them like that, caught someone off guard, they forgot it was a thing, and it hit them with that, and they're like, oh, no. But I did like this card. It also will ignore energy exhaust with your leaders, so another charge fodder there. and you can use them from the energy for arrival. So none of these Android cards in your energy are really going to be dead, ever. When he attacks, your opponent's going to discard one from their hand, 25k double striker. For 4 energy, yeah, it can be rough if you don't have the proper payoff for it, but typically you do, because with Bad Omen, you're going to burn him a life. So, very good card. Comes in clutch. I'm going to keep him at 3. I was going to do 2, but I'm going to keep him at 3 after play testing a bit more. Bad Omen, card's dumb. I still think it's dumb to this day. It's only gotten more broken over time, but, you know, at least it's a little bit more fair with some hits recently. But it's still very strong. You're going to be using this just to burn your opponent, of course, and some board removal. And, you know, you can burn them from 2 to 1 and then use this to swing at them for game 2. So, card's good. Another card you can put in your energy and use later on. Typically, I'm actually wanting them to be more in the deck, so I could do Steadfast Ally, grab it, and then play it. But if you play it from the energy, the plus side is the leader's going to replace the energy that you lose for playing her, and then on the auto, you are still going to lose an energy, unfortunately. But typically, you're trying to go for game around then, so it's not a big deal. And because you ramp once or twice, it's not too bad. Android 17 defending friends. We got our Floodgate here. He is also an Android, so if you need to swing and pitch him and draw 2, he's actually great for that as well. I have used him more so for that, but obviously in the aggro matchup, you're probably going to want to keep him in hand. Kusu's. So Kusu I've been back and forth on. I run her at 3. I've thought about dropping her to 2, but then I've had games where she comes in clutch, games where she's a dead card, games where I just use her to combo. So right now I think this is a further testing card, but I still really like her in the deck. I don't dislike her in the deck. It's just maybe there's a better fit for it. Maybe this is one of those cards that later down the line it just gets replaced. But I still like her. I've utilized her. Definitely a solid card. Just make it replaced. Our Ramper, Android 16 energy amplification. Like I said, he's just a ramp. You can't play battle cards between 30k and 35k power for the duration of the game, so we're not going to be running any Turning the Tide in here because we're likely never going to get that play ever. So that's fine. If I later decide to cut this engine, then we'll start thinking about doing that. But right now, we're running the engine, therefore we're not running those. Note that for his auto, you have to specifically have a blue-green multicolor in your energy. So if you charge a blue and then you charge a green, you're not going to be able to get his auto on turn 2. So just keep that in mind. But this deck is so heavy on blue-green that you're almost always going to have it. So run him at 4. This one I was trying. I like it. I've gotten to this point quite a bit, actually. It has closed me out games. Android 17 and 18, Siblings Revive. So this also came out in Battle Evolution. Sometimes I use it to discard and draw 2, and sometimes I'm going for game. It's a nice board wipe. I can swing and get a look at their hand, rip some important cards out of their hand, and, you know, if they negate it or somehow remove it during that attack, you know, it is what it is. I'm not relying on it, but it has come in clutch quite a bit. And originally I wasn't going to run this card, and I kind of looked at my deck for a second, realized I didn't have a lot of, like, game-ending power, and I was like, you know what? It's a 25k attacker. It might actually come in clutch, and it has. It certainly has. I do like this card. I'm going to keep it in the deck right now. This is one of those cards that actually bumped my deck up to a total of 60. Originally, I was going to be at 56, and I started messing around with some stuff. And I'm not dissatisfied with the last-minute edition. I actually do like it, so I recommend giving it a try. It is a strong card. Master Roshi, Masterly Majesty. So he's to swap some blue-green energy out. Really, you don't need it a lot. I only put it in here in case you ramp the Seeker Rare. And I'm starting to realize that maybe Speedy Sub just does the job enough for it. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about him. He's one of those cards where I was like, oh, this is a great addition at first. And the more I play with him, the more I'm just starting to turn away from wanting him in the deck. So I'm either going to completely cut him or I'm going to turn him into something else. Because if you notice right now, we do have a lot of costly 10k cards. Or pay 1 cards. I guess they're not all 10ks. But we have a lot of combos we have to pay 1 for. And he's one of those 5k combos. So it's just something to keep in mind. I like him and I don't like him at the same time. I just think this may not be his deck. Expert 21 does him a lot better than he is in here. I used to run him in this deck as well, but over time he just feels so underwhelming in this specific deck. So I think I might change him. This is one of the ones I recommend looking into changing and finding some better spice or just completely cutting. We got some extra cards here. Dimension Magic, pretty straightforward. Blue Negate, Untap 2 Energy, cool. Sensu Bean, I do run Sensu Bean at 4 in this deck specifically because we are an Arrival-based deck. If I was not an Arrival-based deck, I would either 1 be siding this or 2 running it at 3. Still a great card. It only works defensively, keep that in mind. But nice to just set up for more Arrivals. That's why we run it at 4 in here. And you know what? Nice to bump your leader by 5k for the turn. Hit. So Hit's actually one of our main unisons in this deck, so it's actually going to generate us some draw power. That's the main reason why we're going to use him. He's a 2-cost unison that generates us draw power. And then you can use the activate main to pay 2 and flip their leader because your leader is blue, but you don't typically do that. I've had a scenario where I've done it, and it was at a very critical moment where they were just basically at 2 life, and I had a bunch of 20Ks. So you might use it, but it's mostly just for the +1 draw 1. And to point out, actually, the once per turn auto you actually can utilize very well in this deck. If it's your opponent's turn, when you play a blue battle card using Arrival, add a marker to this card. Well, what's all of our deck? Very heavy Arrival, right? So it works out. It's very synergistic. I actually run it at 3. I thought about running it at 4, but you know what? I have been quite comfortable with it at 3, and I'm fine with that. And why am I comfortable with it at 3? Well, our 4th one is our one of Majin Buu Unison, another card to generate us a draw 1. And defensive card really helps the strategy. Untap Energy, so we're setting up for some Arrival. Now, keep in mind you can only untap mono blue energy, so you have to be smart about what you're charging. But, of course, it's great in this deck. At 4, it was a monster in here. At 1, a little bit more fair, just annoying for your opponent when you see the one of. How it always is, right? And of course, our Secret Rare, I don't really need to explain it. Android 21 Secret Rare. Very good in this deck. Searchable. Like I said, you can play it on your opponent's turn. Very good card. Helps out a lot. Helps the defensive strategy. So, should make sense from there. Then, let's go over to our Z-Deck. This is going to be very important. Like I said, we do generate a lot of Z energy here. And I've gone back and forth on a lot of the Z-Deck because of how much Z energy can generate. I don't even think this is my final Z-Deck list, but it's what I've got, and I'm just going to flip these at the same time. Oh, nope, that's right, I left him first. This is one of my favorite Z-Deck cards, and I'm honestly thinking about pushing it up to 2. I always love this Z-Deck Vegito. I use it a lot as a game ender, and it does help the strategy a bit. I mean, it's defensive. You make your opponent bottom deck a card from their hand, and he restands and becomes a blocker, and he has barrier, and he's triple strike. It's easy to get to 3 Z energy. It's pretty easy to get to 5 energy. I actually think you can't run this now that I'm looking at it. Because if you ramp, I might have to take that back looking at it. Yeah, you can't actually play it. Well, caught that now at least. So, scratch that. Don't run that card. Just run more cells. Just run more cells. It is one of my favorite Z-Deck cards still in the game, but unfortunate. I just caught that now. The cell, pretty straightforward. Board clear. He's 25k power. He could be a triple. I've actually made him the triple strike, triple strike crit. So it's pretty mean. Let's see here. Cell's pretty straightforward. We got Beerus. It's our only barrier removal. So not our only barrier removal, but only early game barrier removal if you don't see your secret rare. If we see the 8 drops, cool, we get it. But I actually always really like the Beerus card. The only downside is paying 4 for it sometimes sucks. And I say 4 when you're, paying 2, playing it. You'll swing, bottom deck something ideally. Pay 2, bottom deck something, ignoring barrier. I mean, ideally that's what you're trying to do. Barrier is a problem for blue. It always has been. Which is a good thing. I mean, it's got to have some sort of difficulty, right? It can't have everything being an easy out. So we run one of this. Maybe it could be 2. There's one Z-Deck card in here I was very iffy on. I do run 2 Android 21 in the Name of Hunger. Very good card. And I have actually played it twice in the game before. It doesn't happen often, but I have. But typically the reason why it doesn't happen often, let's see if it's the next card in here. I'm just going to flip all of them. So the Zamasu here, I do run it as the Indestructible for Android 21, so she'll just be a 20k Indestructible blocker. Helps you ramp card, helps you do some board removal. She's great. Black Kamehameha, I've gone back and forth on running 2. Like I said, you generate a lot of Z energy, so it's very easy to do. but I really haven't had the need to do it more than once a game. So that's why I'm at 1. Freezer Resurrected Ambition. This is one of the ones where I'm thinking just switching it to another Beerus for now. It just doesn't really feel that great. And stopped feeling great a while ago. I mean, it's still very synergistic with the deck because you have other green battle cards with 2 or more attacking because blue-green. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. I just never play it. Broly, you can utilize it in here. It's nice to have it because you're placing a green card in the drop. I mean, it's a non-unique green card. We have a bunch of blue-green cards, so we can reduce the cost of him. And then we can still get his full power in here. There's no restriction to having a green leader, so pretty solid card. I've thought about putting him to 2, but honestly, I've never had a scenario where I've needed to play more than 1. So I just keep him at the 1. Zamasu, I told you why we run it. And Bardock, I actually run it for a very specific reason right now. And I'm debating on if I change him out for the new Z Unison coming from the Wish Leaders. So this, you're never going to get the +0 to draw a card. Your leader isn't green, so you're never going to get that part. But you could get the bottom part there to discard a card from their hand by placing a Z energy in the drop. So you still get that. You do have some blockers, so you'll get the blocker auto removal to get a marker. You'll still get that, but really, I only use it to game end if someone like Nimbuses me or something, and I'm going for a last ditch effort. Will I use the +0 to make them discard a card? Maybe. Just depends on the situation. But I have had scenarios where you swing with everything. They Nimbus you on the first swing, right? So, oh no, I've only got 1 more battle card swing. Swing with another battle card, swing with your leader. You don't have another card to swing with. Well, you got a Unison in there. Swing with that for game, maybe. It's very situational. You don't play it often. I just have it in there just in case. The Z-Deck isn't really like super tight. It's got about a 2 or 3 card flex spot. If it was with 7 cards in Z-Deck, it would be very tight. But it's not. So we work with what we got. It's an option. I'm considering some of the new Z Unisons. I just don't know if I'm really going to run them or not. I haven't decided yet. They all can't attack. The benefit of having this Bardock is that he can attack. So I don't know. I haven't decided yet. So remember, just don't run the Vegito. You actually can't play it. What do we got here? So Z-Deck, I'm just going to keep this all shown. Straightforward Deborah, discard. Chilled's Army, this is for more aggro matchups, and plus you self-awaken and drop down to 5 life, so you'll have that. Kamehameha Deflection for aggro matchups to blow up 4 lesses. Black Smoke, I actually don't know if I like this in the Z-Deck or not. I ran it just to get rid of some Unisons. It's not really worth it, but I run it right now. You can flex out the side deck, don't think it's absolute. Just do whatever you feel is best for it. Jiren, because we are a slower deck, we actually do need this card. So just keep that in mind. So with Jiren, I do run it too. With Android 18, I side it for more matchups where they're playing 4 less without deflect. You do get it every now and then. You'll have the Unisons available for it. So this card I don't dislike in the sideboard. Maybe I can switch out Roshi for it in the main board and utilize that, because then it's an Android card I can discard and draw 2. And it's still a 0-5K combo mono blue card. And then to Mafuba. Mafuba is pretty straightforward. I actually think this was something else originally, and I couldn't remember what it was, but I was thinking about adding in Mafuba anyway. Mafuba for me comes in clutch in the green matchup primarily, mostly for the Goku 8-drop, because we do not want that thing attacking twice and being redirected too. So that's why I'm just starting to side it. Very good card. Comes up in a lot of matchups. U7 matchup for the 6-drop, another thing to stop the multiple attacks. So it has a lot of usage. So I would definitely, I think this sideboard's mostly good, aside from the Black Smoke right now. But that's actually the entirety of the deck. Just remember, switch out the Vegito. We'll probably make that a sell. Glad I caught that in here. But hope you guys did enjoy the deck profile. And if you have any other requests for a deck profile, if you see it on any of the locals, primarily from me I may be able to get it from some of the local guys. Just don't know how they feel about showing off their decks. Most of them should be fine with it, but don't know. But if you ever see something you guys like, let me know. Leave it in the comments section below, and I'll try and get a video for you. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next video.